Now we would like to switch things a bit. We have had speakers, we have watched videos. Now let's get into something practical so that we can all take home with us to better look after our own mental health. I would like to now invite Kaye Waterhouse to lead a healthy, mindful session with you all. Kaye is a yoga instructor, a yoga studio owner, and a leader in mental health and wellness industry in Western Australia. Kaye's yoga studios, Vital Beat Yoga, offer a fun, non-judgmental, beautiful approach to yoga. Vital Beat Yoga was the first studio in Western Australia to offer hip-hop yoga classes. Kaye is going to run us through some mindful exercises that we all can use for stress relief, dealing with overwhelm, and take mindful breaks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kaye Waterhouse.
Thank you. So we're all going to do some down dogs today. I'm joking. But as a movement practitioner, I think that chairs are probably the worst thing ever invented. So let's get up for a moment. Just take a break. We're just going to move the body before we come into our session. So interlace the fingers. Take them out in front of you. Roll the shoulders forward, push away, and then stretch all the way up. Awesome. We're going to take some little lateral stretches, and we're just opening up into the side body, into the lungs a little here. Beautiful. And then release the arms. Take them all the way behind your back and squeeze the shoulders back. Awesome. And shake it. Yeah. Darielle said you'd all be down for it, so let's do it. Awesome. So my name is Kaye, and correct, we have Vital Beat, which is the hip-hop yoga studios. So we merge traditional vinyasa with modern music. So the down dogs in our classes are paired with Beyonce and Drake and Ed Sheeran. So a lot of gangster rap happens in our classes. So there's a lot of booties wiggling in downward facing dog. We are on the front line of mental health. We get a lot of people coming to our studios as part of a treatment program. So they'll come to us going, look, I've been recommended to do yoga because I have anxiety, I have depression, I'm working through grief, all of these kind of things. So there's a growing movement in our industry to do mental health first aid training, because we do have people who kind of unravel on our mats a little bit, which is healthy, but we also need to learn the tools to deal with it. Personally, I have a long and sordid history with mental health. I have anxiety and depression. And I'm also a FIFO wife. So my husband is in the industry himself, and he has lost friends to suicide. So we feel this kind of, this very, very deeply. So there is a misconception that mindfulness is meditation, and they're actually two very different things. You don't need a yoga mat, you don't need Lululemons, you don't need a single down dog to practice mindfulness. It is something that we weave in through our practices at the studio. But we don't need to be a yogi to experience the benefits of really feeling really centered and really grounded. So you can take a seat now. So we just open up into the hips a little bit. So one of the things we hear a lot, aside from I'm not flexible enough to do yoga, is I can't meditate. And to be honest, I really, really, really struggle with meditation myself as well. My anxiety sometimes is absolutely rife. And when I sit in stillness, I'm thinking about all my business that I have to run, the children that I have to look after. It's going to be 2 weeks till my husband's home again. So for me, mindfulness is the step before meditation. It is something that I can do when I'm in the car. It's something I can do when I'm waiting to pick up the children from school. And I know that personally my husband uses it as well. Fun fact, my husband is also a yoga teacher, but he's now in the mining industry. So he is the person who's getting up at 3:30 in the morning and meditating for half an hour before he goes to work. And I don't think without that practice, he would be able to sustain a life in the industry. For him, it's very, very centering and very, very grounding. So mindfulness is simply the act of noticing where you are, how you feel, where your body is at, where your mind is at, whether you are hungry, whether you are tired. It's taking your attention away from the future or the past and bringing it to the present moment. So there's 2 mindfulness exercises I'm going to take you through very briefly today. So if you're comfortable closing down the eyes, I do recommend that. What that does is takes your attention from the external to the internal. If you're not comfortable closing down the eyes, just drop your gaze to your lap. You can pop your hands in your lap and just look at your hands. The first mindfulness exercise is 5 senses. So with the 5 senses, we are paying attention to everything that is tactile or within our senses in this moment. We begin with the sense of smell. What can you smell? I heard that. And what can you hear? What can you taste? What can you touch? What can you feel? And then lastly, we allow the eyes to open. And what can you see? Now, when I do this exercise in the car, I don't close my eyes. But when I'm in the car, and I'll give the example, when I'm in the car and I have somewhere to go, I have 2 children in the back, I have somewhere to go, and I'm usually late. And my anxiety is starting to, the fear of judgment of the person I'm going to see for being late, the traffic that I'm going to get stuck into, and it becomes this kind of feeding loop that makes my anxiety rise and rise and rise. So when I'm in the car, what can I see? And it's not just I can see cars, I can see the road, but I can see the shape of the leaf of a gum tree on the side of the road. I can see the crack in the number plate of the car in front of me. What can I feel? I can feel the sensation of the steering wheel. I can feel that the top of the steering wheel is quite smooth, and because that's where my hands always sit, and then the bottom of the steering wheel is quite rough. What can I smell? Can I smell a little bit of diesel? Can I smell a packet of chips that's in the back seat? Really trying to pick up those tiny little notes of scent. What can I taste? Do I have food in the car that I might like to put one of those chips in my mouth and really roll it around my mouth, and what flavours are there, what textures are there? And so we can move through these senses in line at the bank or laying in Shavasana in our yoga class. And it's an opportunity to just go, right, what's happening right here, right now? Not what's going to happen in a week, not what's going to happen later, not what's going to happen in a month from now, or what happened yesterday, the rumination. We come right to this very moment, and that in itself, in that essence, is mindfulness. The other exercise I'm going to take you through is what I call the pyramid breath. It's one of my favourites. When I was sitting over there on the floor, freaking out about standing on stage, I was doing this breath. So this one's really nice with the eyes closed, but again, you don't have to. So in your mind's eye, I want you to picture an upside down triangle. So the pointy part of the triangle is facing down. This triangle could be really any shape. But we're going to take our focus to the bottom point of that triangle. And as you inhale, trace up the left-hand side of the triangle with your breath. When you reach the top left-hand corner, pause and hold the breath as you trace across the top of the triangle. When you reach the top right-hand corner, exhale and trace down the right-hand side to meet the point at the bottom. Inhale, we travel up the left-hand side. Pause, retain the breath across the top. And exhale down the right. And we're going to continue this breath, but you're going to set your own pace. Now, if you lose your place, just come back to that bottom point. And as you find a rhythm for this breath, can you make all of the sides of your triangle the same length? So maybe you inhale for 3, you hold for 3, you exhale for 3 or 4. but make all of the sides the same. Now that you've smoothed out the breath to find an equilateral triangle, can you make your triangle a little bigger? So maybe instead of a count of 3 breath, it's a count of 4 breath. Your breath becomes like plasticine or Play-Doh. We're stretching it out a little. And wherever you're at, we're taking one last full round of this breath. Let it fall away and just sit in stillness for a moment. Notice how you feel. Notice if anything comes up for you. Lovely. When I go through this breath, the most pressing feeling I get at the end of it is I'm just really tired. My baby still wakes up a few times in the night, but it's the adrenaline kind of gets me through the day. Adrenaline and cortisol gets me through the day. And this breath exercise takes away the noise that sits above in my mind and reveals to me my true state. And that true state is often pretty tired. But this is taking the body from what we call our sympathetic nervous system into our parasympathetic nervous system. So we're shifting from that fight or flight response into rest and digest. And rest and digest is also where we start to reduce the cortisol and the adrenaline in our body, and we start to promote more of our well-being, and it also leads to all these wonderful feelings. So thank you so much for entertaining this with me today. And I'm really, really grateful to come along, and I really appreciate taking a moment with you guys to practice just a little bit of mindfulness that you can do anywhere. Thank you so much.
That was so beautiful and calming. Thank you so much, Kaye, for reminding us on how important mindfulness can be for our mental health.